All right. So we're in the midst of summer league right now, and of course, it's going to be some crazy takes. It's going to be some good takes, some bad takes, some OV evaluations, and what we're here to do right now, because of course, Slim's going to be picking as far as topics go, just the Hooper Summer Series, the first episode featuring the president of our network, Chris Lebron. Shout out to him first and foremost. That's our president. And like I said, we're just here to provide some more content, easygoing basketball listening, maybe give some people, our listeners, some background on different people who they might not have checked out or just come and check them out all over again. So, of course, I'm John W.
Fresh X.
And this is the Hooper Summer Series. Chris Lebron. I remember, but we've been on, how long? We've been on about 2 years. We've been on Off Ball Network about 2 years now.
This year, November.
That made a year.
What made two?
That made two.
This November will be 2 years.
Right, this November makes two. And I remember we had a couple interactions before I seen you make the post about you wanting to start your own network and you were looking for people. And first and foremost, I want to say I don't think we had a chance to say it yet, but we appreciate you for giving us that opportunity. But we've all seen where sports media in general, basketball especially, because anybody gets to talk about basketball. Right. But we've seen where it's going over the last 5 to 10 years. What was your initial thought when you thought, not even just starting your own podcast, but what made you want to start your own network?
First and foremost, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate y'all. You know, it's a long time coming. But the podcast, the network, kind of, you know, with basketball and all that, like you said, everyone thinks they could talk basketball because they bounce the basketball. You know, everyone thinks they got an opinion. And I thought that sounds like, are people going to care what I have to say? Like, how do I stand out? Like, because it's easy for just go on a pod, be like, all right, you know, this happened in this game, let's talk about that. But how do you stand out? So that was something I try to figure out, because I've dabbled in podcasting before, like even before podcasting was even a thing, like 2013. Like I was doing that, but never stuck on. I was like, and I always would go back and like, all right, how do I stand out? So I was like, I've always liked drafts, whether it's NFL, basketball, anything, even like hockey. I just like the draft. I like to know who's coming into the league. Like, I think that's important to know who's coming in, the next wave of talent coming into the league. So that's when I was just like, you know what? I want to dabble into the NBA. So I was just doing my own little thing, my little scouting reports. And I was like, all right, can I get someone on my show? Let's see, like, is anyone like would willing? So I sent emails out, and you know how that works. Sometimes you ain't gonna get nothing. DMs get, left on red, and it's happened. And that's what you have to learn about this whole thing. And I remember reaching out to Matt Babcock, and he was a former agent, and I had done some agent stuff years ago, so that was intriguing. And then he's covering the draft. So this is the COVID draft. So this is 2020, right? So I was like, let me get him on, and he said, yeah, real quick. Like, I'm at work. I sent the email out. I went on lunch, came back. He responded. I was like, whoa. I was like, all right. And that was like my first big guest. So I was prepping like a son of a gun. I was like, okay. And then and I learned so much from that episode. Like I was nervous. That was the most nervous I've ever been doing a show. And I remember going into that. I'm like, all right, I prepped. I did all my work. I was like, okay. Then I went into it, and all the anxiety went out of the way once you hit the record button and you just go. And I learned so much from that episode, just about evaluating talent and all that, because his dad was in the room when Giannis was drafted. Like, his dad was a part of the Bucks and all that. So like I learned so much about like just evaluating players and all that, and thinking another level. Right? It's more than just numbers, right? I think a lot of people focus on numbers and all that. So that episode, I learned so much, and that's when I really dived into the NBA draft and like doing that. And that's when the podcast started like taking off. Because then I would just reach out to other NBA draft, and that's when I would get like Rafael Barlow. I reached out to him, got him on. Corey Talaba, who's doing a lot of great stuff now, with his network and all that. With No Ceilings, and a whole bunch of other people. Then I would reach out to college kids, like low level D1 guys. Hey, you want a platform? Boom, boom. They come on, and then it just started snowballing. And then at that time too, I was with another network.
Okay,
and they told me, yo, you're the top content guy for us. And then I'd be like, why aren't you promoting me then? Like if I'm your top content guy, I need to be. Hey, you got to be promoting me. That was not on the website. Other than me saying, "Yo, this is my episode. Tweet this out." It was not. So that had rubbed me off. So I always said, if I ever have my own thing, if I ever run my own thing, I'm gonna do it right, and I'm gonna make sure that I give everyone the shine, right? And they had actually locked me out of the account to get in, to like like stuck. And I remember going in like, all right, let me see what, and like, oh, I couldn't even get in, and then they unfollowed me. I was like, oh, I was like, okay. Now, guess what? They no longer exist. So maybe that's, a little karma, a little karma, but they no longer exist. But I said, all right, I'm gonna start my own thing, and that's when me and Mo had already did a show, and we had talked to each other on Twitter and all that, and we had just vibed well, and then Jeff too. Jeff was probably like the first fan I had. Like every time I would post a show, Jeff would be like, "Yo, this show is great," and I'm like, "Yo, and I'm like, "Where's it? He's from Ohio." I'm like, "This dude from Ohio, is digging my show." To me, that's cool. Like the fact that anyone like that's not like family, like, it's cool in families, like, but that you expect that, right? But when someone that's not family from like the Midwest is like, "Yo, I rock with your show." Every time you post, they're like, "Oh, I just listen. I like what you make." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So then as I thought, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start it. And I was like, I gotta have a team though. I can't do it by myself. I need a team. So that's when I reached out to Mo and Jeff, and I was like, y'all want to help me build this thing? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. So we took like a month to figure it out, to like, how are we gonna go about it? What's it gonna be about? And that's kind of how Off the Ball Network kind of launched and went about. And we scouted, then, because I remember when you guys reached out and I listened, I was like, okay, a little more seasoning and they get it. And you could have took that the wrong way, guys. You could have said like, what's he talking about? Because it's not like I know everything, but I was like, yo, y'all get a little bit more seasoning. And you guys took that instead of being like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? Y'all took that and y'all got better. And I remember the next time I was like, oh, okay. They listen, like, and that's y'all took the constructive criticism and y'all worked it and y'all got better. And I was like, all right, I gotta get them on the network. And y'all been sent, and y'all been able to get dope guests since, right? Networking with a bunch of crazy people. You guys showed on Dashed on the radio, like that's
right. Thanks. We appreciate that.
Like, so like, I take just as much as pride as I take on my show and how I've been able to take it from the ground up, from nothing to a little something. I take pride in like being able to help others on that journey too, like, and helping them get, with networking with other people and all that. Like, there's people that would hit me up, like, yo, can I get this guy on, this guest that you had on? Like, I'm asking, is like, you don't gotta ask me. Yeah, hey, you go ahead. Like, the fact that and then for those people to be like, yeah, oh, you rock with Chris? Oh, yeah, I got you. And to me that's cool. So to see you guys, take that, continue to get better and better and better, and take that what I said and to work on it. It's dope to see you guys, continue to kill it, and you guys are gonna keep killing it because you guys, not because you just with me, that have one of the best shows out there. So keep killing it.
No, yeah, for sure. And like I said, summer league, we got Knicks fans going crazy. Quick, Grimes had an amazing second half. He showed every time he gets on the court, I feel like he showed potential. I just want to start here real quick. And like I said, we just had a crazy conversation about summer league in the group chat the other day, where it's like sometimes you see a great performance from a rookie, from a player, and you just go crazy about it.
Right.
And then sometimes you see a bad one, and it's the same thing. You're all the way down on them. And like I said, summertime in New York. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but KD just put out the trailer for his docuseries, Point Guard.
Yeah.
About legendary New York point guards, just point guards from the city of New York. And whenever we talk to people from New York on our show, we gotta ask, growing up in New York, we know it was important, so that's not the question. But what was your experience just with summer basketball? Like outside, AAU, like what was your experience? What did that mean to you growing up?
It was crazy, man. Just because you hear all about all these great point guards and all that, and I got to experience, the Sebastian Telfair craze, like a little bit, like, and because I went to high school so I started high school in 03. So Bassie came out what, 04? So that year he had played us. If I ever recall, he played us, played my school, and just gave us the work. The work. I think he dropped like a 40 or 50 piece. And that's when I was like, yo, this dude's different. Like I was like, I grew up like, in like the Marbury, like that was the guy. But Bassie was different, man. He was, he had the doc with the Through the Wire documentary and all that. Like he's on par. He's with LeBron James on Dwight Howard on these magazines. It's like, yo, he's different. And he was the quintessential New York City point guard, like handles and all that, and flash and all that. And wasn't a big dude. He's probably like 5'11", And I remember I think he was supposed to go to like Louisville. Yeah, I think he's supposed to go to Louisville, and then he said he going straight to the league, and I was like, whoa, at that point, no point guards were going, no under 6 foot point guards were going to the league, and then especially straight out of high school. That was unprecedented. Like that doesn't happen. Like I think the only time Lou Will maybe, but Lou Will was a second round. That was after. It was like a year after. And that's when they cut off the high school, I think, right? Or after that, Lou Will, Monte Ellis, like those guys got, were getting drafted. And that's when they cut off the high school. But he was different, man. Yeah. Like he was different, and like you had to go see him play. And sometimes you couldn't because it was sell out. Like you just and you would hear about him. This was obviously before social media, so you would hear about. I was living in Staten Island. You hear about him, which is like another borough. You would hear about him like through the veins. Like, yo, Bassie just did this. And he just did this in this tournament. He just whopped these guys, and it's like he just played Dwight Howard, and you're like, who's Dwight Howard? And you're hearing about and that's when like it started getting that craze where you started hearing about like high school, other high school, and that's when like Slam magazine was popping. So I would be like, oh, I gotta order the Slam magazines and all that. I gotta see what's going on. We gotta see who these other high school players are. So Bassie was different, man. That was my guy. And had some success in the league and all that. And It's unfortunate what's happened to him now, him being locked up. But man, Bassie was different, man. He was fun to watch, but just like everyone wanted to be the point guard. You got your New York City legends that didn't make it that were great, but it's different. Summer basketball in New York City is different. I mean, tournaments going, Dykeman, Rucker Park, like the cages and like you got everywhere. There's just tournaments going on. It's just a vibe, man, and that's what makes New York City great. I know the basketball has maybe like as far as making pros has kind of gone down and all that, but it's still a vibe out here in New York City, and it's just crazy out here.
Yeah, it's funny. He said, Lou said Bassie getting drafted. He said him and Monte was together when he got drafted, and they looked at each other and said they going to the league right after that.
Yeah. It gave him hope. It gave him hope because small guards weren't like it was let alone small guards, period. But then small guards coming out of high school, that was not happening because most of the guys coming out of high school were either like 7-footers like Kwame Brown, Tyson Chandler, Curry, Dwight Howard, or wings. LeBron. I remember Martell Webster. All these guys, but 5'11" got point guards. Yeah. That doesn't happen. And but he changed it for everything. Gave guys like Lou Will, Monte, those guys, that feeling like, okay, if Bassie, and he was top 12 with lottery pick, right? From Portland, right? He went to Portland, got drafted out of Portland. So like it gave him hope. Like if so he changed the game. Man. That's probably why they said no more high school kids. We got to cut this off because too many of these little guys trying to come out. But Bassie was different, man. Bassie was that's my guy forever. He wanted me to go. I wanted to go to Lincoln. Well, that when Ray Allen, when he went to Lincoln and he got Gabe. So there's a lot of reasons why I want to go to Lincoln, but he was one of the reasons why I was like, yo, I'm trying to transfer. But I was like, I ain't that good at ball. So I wasn't that good at that level to go play at Lincoln, because they were playing against that's a monster score. And they were playing against some of the top schools in the country, not just in New York City. They were playing against teams from Georgia, from California, you know, Bronx, Ohio. Like they were playing all the top schools in the state. So in the whole country. So, you know, that was crazy. That was when I first like, okay, this basketball thing is dope. Like getting deep dives into these high school kids and all the rankings and all that. That's when it started getting real fun.
High school at that time and watching all those players, because like you say, you just go get you a Slam magazine, ESPN. You was easy to read at the time, so you can figure out who's the top 100, where they're going. Now that stuff was different then. Even though, like I say, YouTube wasn't a big thing, but if you could find those highlights of Kevin Durant, Tyreek Evans still has one of the craziest mixtapes ever.
Yeah. Cold.
And the last tape they put out when he was right before he transferred from Oak Hill, when he's dunking and stuff. Like, yeah, high school basketball
was different.
It was different.
That was different, man. That, like I said, that's when it started getting crazy with people like, oh, you gotta get these mixtapes. Or I used to wait at CVS when the dude come out of the back with the boxes of the magazines and wait till that Slam issue came out with all the high school kids, because they would have that all the high school. I remember the first one I really remember is, I think it was like Kevin Love, DeMar DeRozan, one of those issues, and like that's when they really got detailed about like these high school kids. They would have like their own like All-American, I believe, something like that. And that's when I realized, like, really diving into that around that time. Like that was like a phenomenon. That's when it really started getting like popping. Like people were figuring out like, oh, who's this kid from Oregon? Kevin Love, this white dude. Like, oh, he got game. Oh, okay, you gotta find him. You gotta find him, go on the internet and find out who this Kevin Love dude is. You know, who DeMar DeRozan? He was Master P. Little Romeo, like, yo, what's Little Romeo? Him, like, you know, it's a Little Romeo. You know, we thought he was gonna be a hooper, you know, and all that. So that was fun time. I missed that. You know, I know it's easy right now. We can just press a button and figure out who the 200 player is. It's like, but that back day trying to like deep dive, that was fun. Yeah, you gotta find them and like do some research and like, you know, that was fun. I miss those days. Miss those days.
Yeah, even with the early days of YouTube, you still had to really search them out. So I'm gonna keep it linking. Can you remember Lance Stevenson and his run, his couple years in high school?
Like I said, man, another reason why I wanted to go to Lincoln, man. Those Ray Allen, he got game. Spassy and Lance. Man, Lance was fun. He was after I went to high school, but like that was one of the guys that I kept my eye on, especially locally. Like, yo, he's different. He could pass, he could play make, like all this stuff he could do. Like, and and I was so pissed off when he got drafted in the second round. I was like, nah, y'all messed up. Nah, y'all messed up. Like, this dude's different, and he was definitely different. Definitely different. But he helped continue. I felt like once he, after that, it felt like it definitely took a dip in New York City basketball, because it's not like we don't have guys,
right? Exactly.
We have guys, but the problem is guys are transferring or they're leaving.
They're leaving. So you don't even realize it is a New York City.
Exactly, because you'll see in the NBA, oh, this guy's from the Bronx or this guy's from Brooklyn, and you're like, he didn't go to school, and I have to think like, I don't remember. Oh yeah, he left. He left his senior year. Like Diallo, that happened with Diallo. Diallo was supposed to be that. Diallo was doing a dunk contest with Zion. And who else? A few other guys not too far from here, under the bridge, right on the water. He's doing dunk. He was supposed to be that dude too, but he left. I think he went to somewhere in Connecticut. I could be wrong, but he didn't want to finish him, because, and that's I could do a whole nother show about what's going on with the basketball scene in New York City, because they just don't invest, man. Like, you see some of the facilities just in Jersey or down south, like IMG. Like, if you go to IMG,
crazy, right?
It's like IMG is like, the Taj Mahal, right? And then a lot of these schools in the city are like, Dollar Tree, or like a dollar store. Like, it's just like, how do you compare? Like, so if you're a high school kid, and especially with the emergence of social media and all that, I'm gonna stay in my high school where it's raggedy and all that, or I'm gonna go transfer some of these more powerhouses where they got college like facilities,
Right.
and I'm gonna just do that. And that's why a lot of these kids are leaving because the especially in the public school system here, the facilities and just how they, just how they go about things, they're just not investing enough, and that's why the New York City, you don't hear about New York City being like the top tier. You hear Cali, you hear Florida, Texas, Georgia. Like, you're not hearing New York City no more. That doesn't happen. Jersey surpassed us. Jersey's got some hoopers. They got some hoopers in the league like that, especially of late. Kyrie, like a bunch of guys. So like the Jersey has surpassed because they're putting money in the facilities.
Yeah,
So you put money in facilities and you got high tech, these high state facilities and all that. People are gonna leave and go other places, and that's a problem in New York City and all that. Like we still got the streets and all that, but high school basketball is where it's at. Everybody wants to win a state championship. Right?
Right, and then New York basketball is that city championship. Like,
yeah, you want to win that PCAL championship. You want to play at the Garden. You want to play that last game you want to play that game at the Garden. Like, that's like a dream. Like, if you play high school basketball, like, yo, my goal in my 4 years is to get to the Garden and hold up that PCAL championship. And it just kind of revert to that. And just, it's not good how you're not seeing us really ranked nationally. A lot of our schools, like we still got some good schools out here. It's just, public schools, private schools, but it's definitely take a dip. And I hope we get that resurgence. Even if you just check the top 100, you don't see New York dudes like, it's crazy. But I hope they can get it back. It's fixable too. That's the thing. Right. It's easily fixable. Investing back in the schools and all that. You don't have these kids leave, but they just. And I haven't done that yet, but let's hope they change that because it means a lot if you're coming from New York City, like But we'll see what happens. They got to change a lot, but we'll see what happens with that.
Not for sure. And like you said, you grew up in that golden age of New York City basketball, which would also have been when the Knicks were not at their highest because they didn't get the championship, but they were always a playoff contender. They were always a championship contender, to tell the truth. Like, they always fielded a great team. What was it like growing up as a Knicks fan, seeing them? Like, y'all got there once, y'all almost got there another time, but what was it like just growing up?
Well, they would have been twice if you count the 90.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah, not really.
I was 5 when that happened, so I remember that very vaguely, but 99 I remember. Like I said, growing up, you have to be a Knicks fan. Like, I couldn't, like, I was like, yo, I guess my cousin made me a Knicks fan. And I was like, yo, about this Jordan guy, like, he's pretty good. Like, I think I'm gonna rock with. He's like, nope. Hey man, you a Knicks fan? We rocking with 33 to the fullest. And I was like, all right, cool. Chris Child is my guy. When he was throwing well, Kobe, God bless Kobe, but when he was throwing fists with Kobe, I was like, that's my guy, man. Like, he going at Kobe. All right, yeah, you got to give him respect. And just that team and just those teams in general. But it was, I think we're the only team. I don't know if it's just Eastern Conference or total. I think we're the only team in the 90s to make the playoffs every year in the 90s. I could be wrong, but I remember that. I remember hearing that. So, like, it was a vibe. Like the Garden was rocking, the city's rocking. There's only one New York team at the moment, right? Every other sport we have, even at that time, has 2 teams: Jets, Giants, Yankees, Mets. But the one team that everyone can be like, hey, you may be a Mets fan, you may be a Yankee fan, Jet. We got this one team, and it's Knicks. And every year you're like, all right, yeah, we didn't win a championship, but to know, like, all right, we're gonna make the playoffs, we're gonna get to the second round at least, and we gotta fight through Indiana, we gotta fight through Reggie, we gotta fight through Jordan, gotta fight through Shaq and Orlando at the time, So it was just a great time. I mean, that was probably the best time to be a Knicks fan. And if you grew up now, that's why no one's Knicks fan now, because you growing up, you were born in 2000. You've seen one playoff series. Like, what makes you want to be a Knicks fan? That's why, like, remember when KD was like, yo, it's not, the Knicks aren't cool. Right now. And a lot of people took that to heart, right? Like, oh, how could he say that? Blah, blah. And then you have to look back. It's like, he's right. We're not cool. We're not winning. You don't win, you're not cool. I don't care that you got the city behind you and all that, like all the glitz and glamour. You're not winning. It's not cool.
Right.
The Warriors are cool because guess what? They're winning.
Absolutely.
They're cool, right? And they were at a point where they were garbage, right? they went through their bad years, you know. So that's what gives us hope too. Like, hey, if the Clippers too, right? The Clippers are a little, you know, they a little bit, you know, but like it gives you hope. And they had a racist owner. Like our owner just sucks.
Right. Exactly.
Our owner just don't know what he's doing. Like that's all right. I mean, but it was just fun to be a Knicks fan. Obviously, like once I got to high school, that's when things kind of flipped and all that. But you know, it's just it was just crazy growing up. You know, it's just the vibe. Like I said, the one team. Like we only had one team. There was no civil. There was no, you know, oh, you Brooklyn. Nah, like the team you didn't worry about the team in Jersey. You know, they started winning once I got to high school. They started doing that, but that's when things. But it was great, man. It was you know, Pat and all that. You know, Oakley. You know, Anthony Mason. All these guys. They just represented New York. What New York was. You know, tough and all that. You know. So it was fun growing up, you know, but hopefully we can get some of that back, but we'll see what happens with this team.
I think the difference is because, like you said, they didn't win a championship, but to make the playoffs, know you compete.
Hey, they went to Game 7 with Hakeem, and if John Starks doesn't go all J.R. Smith on us, we might be talking about, and then like the perspective of the Knicks is completely different. You know, nobody knows about the last time it's 1973 and all that.
That don't matter if they beat Hakeem.
Yeah, right. And think about how much different you look at Patrick Ewing if he had beaten Hakeem.
Yep.
Just think how different, because 99 he was hurt and he was old. So like, and listen, that was a great run. But that was a weird year, strike year and all that, 8 seed, like that was different, you know. But 94, like, you know, and like nowadays you would never let a John Starks do that. You ain't letting John. The minute he's 1 to 12, you're like, what are we doing here? But they didn't have. It was just a different game, right? It was a different game. Like it was Pat and just a bunch of dudes. Like, and I think that's why people love Patrick Ewing, because it's not like he had a great super supporting cast. Like his second best player at times, Anthony Mason, maybe Charles Oakley, like, you know, or John Starks, you know, Allen Houston for a cup of coffee, you know, when he was healthy a little bit, you know. But by the time they got Houston, you know, it was like,
right. That's how he
Spreewell and all that. But those guys, when they got them, and he was hurt, you know. So what if Pat, you know, there's a couple of what ifs with the Knicks, but it's like it was still a great time. But it's like, you know, that 94, man, that changes everything. Everyone's perception of the Knicks, Patrick Ewing, like, because Patrick Ewing is always in that Barkley, Stockton, and like that's cool. Like you still a Hall of Famer, first ballot and all that, but it's like we always refer to those players, right? Dirk was on. Remember at one point, Dirk was like, "Yo, Dirk's gonna be on that Karl Malone list." You know, KD was at that. LeBron was almost on that. Like, so like it's like we always refer to that. And it's like, damn, like, what if he had got that one? What if he had got that one? But didn't. And it's, you know, it still lingers over the city. You're like, damn, man, he couldn't have got. And then the finger roll. There's a bunch of, there's a lot. There's a lot, you know, Reggie, you know, scoring 9 points and for like 2 seconds. Like, there's a lot. And there's a lot of heartaches.
Right. And not like I say, not even to speak on the heartaches, because like you say, the Knicks have also had their good moments. And like I say, growing up the Knicks, can you think of it, like, it don't even have to be your favorite, but can you just think of what's probably your most memorable Knicks moment? Like I said, we ain't got to go with the heartaches. We can talk good about the Knicks right now.
So the one that comes up is the 4-point play. LJ. Like that, like, even if you watch it on YouTube, like you feel it. You feel it, but the problem is a lot of these moments are so long ago, you know, Like, so that's definitely got to be one that I remember. What's another? The John Starks dunk was pretty epic too. Jeremy Linsanity was wild. God, yeah, I know it was like only like for a few games.
Just real quick though. Can you, like, say, being in New York, from the outside looking in, I only saw Jeremy Lin as a player, and it's like, you know, it's gonna stop. But you living in the middle of it. What was Linsanity like at that moment?
Oh,
like,
that was insane. I've never seen anything like that. Like it's
Yeah,
like I said, it was for a couple call. It was, but the fact that this dude like was not even supposed to, like he was sleeping on the couch, I think with like Landry Fields and something like
Mhm. Yeah.
and like he just works and just gets an opportunity. What was I think his first was the Lakers. I think he played like garbage time one game and then like Dan Tony's like, all right, we need a point guard. We need some help. And he's put him in. He just starts making a shot here. He's making shots here. He's going again. And then the game against Kobe, he's going off. And then the Toronto, where
Game.
he's like,
Yeah.
he's telling people like he thought he was Kobe or T Mac or Gilbert Arenas. Like, yo, get out of the way. One for a flat. Boom. I'm a bam, bam, bam in their face. I'm like, yo, he's dropping 30 like it's not this guy like from Harvard. You know, like this little dude from Harvard is giving people buckets. And it's just like that few weeks of Linsanity was I even got a Linsanity shirt. I had to, you just had to like I've never seen something like that where like a guy comes out of nowhere and even in like for a little bit just takes over. And it helped that it was probably because it's in New York and everything gets bigger once you're in New York. But then LeBron,
Yeah,
then LeBron was like, and that's Miami LeBron. That's like, that's like Joker. Like he's just trying to kill. Nah, I'm ending this insanity crap. He ain't doing it against. He did it against Kobe. And he locked him up. I remember that he abused Jeremy Lin. It was a wrap for that. And then he got hurt, and then he got, he started getting, prima donna, and I ain't playing, my knee ain't right. That was a whole thing too. Like, and then him to Melo, like if Melo wants him, because they felt like Melo was a little jealous and all that drama. But that was crazy. Insanity was wild. I don't think we'll ever see that again, where a guy comes out of nowhere like that and just takes over. Like he was giving people buckets, like hitting game winners. It's crazy.
That was the most, like, wasn't scared to take big shots, like the game.
Oh, he's waving people.
Wait,
Imagine who's like the last guy on the Hawks roster. Who's the last guy? Let's take Sharif Cooper. Says, yo, everyone, Trey, get out the way. I'm taking this. And Trey would be like, what are you doing? Well, who are you? Like, maybe even lesser, because at least Sharif got a name. Jeremy Lin had no name. Like he's telling, yo, get out of the way. I'm hitting this. It was crazy. And it would have been fun to see if he was healthy and how that would have worked in the playoffs and all that. But it was crazy, man. Good for him. He don't want to get those few games, got him a nice little contract with Houston, so and he ended up staying a little bit. He had a nice, run in the league. Never obviously lived up to that insanity stuff, but still stuck around in the league for a little bit and made a nice chunk of change. So, but yeah, that's crazy, bro. It was wild. It was wild, but it shows you that, like, if we get it right in New York, like it's crazy. It's crazy. The environment is crazy, but we just have not got it right enough, of late.
Right. But so since you spoke of getting it right, we got the next couple of years. We've already had we've seen the first. How long have Wes and Leon? They've been there 3 years now.
This is year 3, I believe.
So they've been there. Yeah. They've been there 3 years. You got a playoff appearance. Got some money off the books. I personally think they've signed good contracts, because like nobody's on a long-term deal, so you can get rid of them after a couple of years if it don't work out how you want it to work out. Mm-hmm. So from what you've seen from them and going forward, how do you feel about how the Knicks are being ran? Because remember, you came out of the Phil Jackson era where that ended badly.
You can say that. You can't say Phil's name. I don't care how many rings he got. He could have 37 rings. You can't say Phil's name around here. And he won 2 rings with us as a player. Yeah, that's you cannot say Phil's word around here. That is like a curse word over here.
So how do you feel? How you feel how Leon and Wes have been doing? How they've been building the team? I feel like they've been trying to focus in on the young players, like really key in on making RJ be all that he could be. I think this year is going to be a big year for him. Speak on Leon, of course.
Yeah, so there's a couple ways to look at it, right? And I remember I was on the Knicks show, Knicks Fan TV on draft, and they didn't make a pick. And at first I'm like, because I felt like they, if we had come out of this with like Johnny Davis and you get Jalen Brunson, I would have felt really good. I think you feel real good as a fan because you get a player that can help you kind of immediately, right? Johnny Davis can do stuff on defense, and he could score a little bit, so that helps you, right? You need guys who could just give you a bucket, especially on the Knicks. We don't have a lot of those guys, and you have Brunson, who's an ascending player, keeps getting better and better, and he's a winner too, you know. But I know a lot of Knicks fans got upset because you're pulling all your chips in for Jalen Brunson, and I think if you're looking back, if you just sit back and you look at it, you're like, we're going all in. Like, it's not like we're going all in on KD, right? It's Jalen Brunson. So if you look at it that way, it's like, oh, what are they doing? Like, that doesn't make sense. But then when you sit back and you just actually you get rid of the Knicks hat and you put your basketball hat on, you're like, okay, they have a bunch of picks. I think other than OKC, they have the most first round picks these next few years. So they're aligning themselves to if they can finally get that piece, that they have the assets to make that, right?
Right.
And you add a player like Jalen Brunson, who's a winner, right? I think he got 2 natties, right? He got 2 national championships, right?
Yeah.
Goes to Dallas, second round pick, which was crazy that he was second round pick, and just gets better and better. And then people are like, oh, but he played with Luka. Yeah, you're right. He did play with Luka. But if you look at his stats with Luka on the court, then you take and Luka off the court. I mean, the shooting splits are kind of close, and he's averaging more points. So it shows you what he can do when it's not Luka. Luka's not on the court. So, and what are you guys in the chat and all the shows I've done? What's the number one thing I said with the Knicks? What do they need? A point guard. We just talked about New York City and point guard. They haven't had one. Kemba Walker, flop. Right? And I said that was good. Like, you give it a chance. You see if he hits anything, right? It was worth it. It was worth it, right? Even if
no risk, high reward. The deal
was what? Yeah, it was $9 million.
Already off in the summer.
and they already unloaded it. So that was, it didn't work. He had a few moments after he got benched for like 20 games, and he had those 40, but that's what Kemba is right now. So the band-aids, right? All these band-aids and missing out on point guards in the draft and missing out on free agency. And not that Jalen's like a pure point guard,
right?
But now you got someone who's going to be able to control the offense a little bit.
That's the key.
And that's the key, right? And now you have that stability. Now you don't have to worry about that. That's one less thing. So yeah, is the money a little high? I think we can agree it's probably high for Brunson, right? But we just saw Damian Lillard just get $61 million. So 25 now looks like, all right, you know what? Maybe we were tripping over the money, you know?
No, facts, right.
You know, we were tripping.
And for a starting point guard, that's what you got to pay.
Yeah, you have to. And you look at the range of all the point guards, right? And I also look like Fred VanVleet was someone I could compare them to, like, what the salary. It's kind of similar to that. And would you be surprised if the Knicks have some success that Jalen Brunson in the next 2-3 years makes an all-star? Like, Fred VanVleet made the all-star team last year. Not saying Fred's going to be like a perennial, but he made the all-star team.
No,
right?
Exactly.
So would you be crazy that, and Jalen Brunson's a more efficient player than Fred VanVleet, you know? And so would you be surprised if Jalen's an all-star maybe in the next 2-3? I wouldn't be, especially with all the point guards being out west. You know, he could make the all-star team, you know. So like if you stop with the number, if you take the numbers out and realize, okay, you know, inflation and all that in the NBA, like, we just saw Dame get 60 mil, Beal's getting 275, 106 mil. All right, maybe it's not that bad, and it's flexible, and he's young, he's 25, he's a winner too. And I had to sit back and realize, okay, you need winning basketball players. You need to learn how to win, and he'll come in. He just came off a Western Conference Finals. Yeah. Right. And he played good. He played good basketball. He's going to come in and just inject that. He did that at Villanova. He did that at Dallas. Let's hope he brings that. RJ's got that winning mentality coming from Duke. Like, you have to install winning. Like people, a lot of Knicks fans got mad at the last few weeks of the NBA season because we were winning games and it was costing us a chance to get a higher pick. And to me, I'm like, wait. Like, we all know how the lottery works. It's just you can't control that. You can't control it. You could go 0-82 and get the third pick. Yep. So like, it doesn't really matter. But like, to me, that was important for us. That was important for us because Obi got to get some more minutes. You got RJ, you know, handling the ball more and all that. like those things are important. You know, Grimes playing more, like those are important, and that's going to help going on to for this season. You know, as those guys continue to play more, get to play some meaningful minutes, and we'll see if OB is really ready to take off. If RJ's in a contract year, you know, RJ's gonna want that. You see all these dudes getting max contract. He just saw his guy Zion, who he's played like in 40 games. It feels like just get the bag. You know, I think those are important. Like, yeah, people got, it cost us a chance to get the 9th pick. It's like, all right, really? Okay, whatever, guys. Like, we're tripping over that. I'd rather those guys get the experience of winning games and all that. So, you know, but the Brunson, I think as I've gotten to sit back and understand and take off the Knicks hat basketball, I think it's going to be good and it's going to help us. And Nick said he's keeps getting better every year, and he wants to be here.
Right,
he wants to be here. And I take that. He wanted to be here from the jump. I know there's family involved, you know, and there's a little tamper. And I don't know how they could prove that because it's his dad. Right. I don't know how they, you know, they can't prove that. But you know, I'm looking forward to see him in here because I think he's gonna bring another, you know, a lot of much needed offense to this team that we desperately need, especially from the league. Man, Kemba and Fournier last year, that was, especially defensively, that was tough.
Right, and he's good for his size. He's definitely a good defender. Yeah, he's gonna go out there and compete.
Yeah, he's solid. Yeah,
it's good that he like playing with Luka because I really think I'm glad you said RJ. He in a contract year. You just see Ja get his deal, Zion got his deal. Them the 2 picks, you know, from the draft. So you know RJ's looking to make an All-Star team this year, and I think they're gonna put him in position to. And Jalen will be key for that because you just played with a high efficiency guy, Luka, so he knows how to play off of a player that can So
exactly,
I think Jalen was a good pickup for y'all. Trying to play winning basketball. Nobody in this draft moves the needle, but you got so many picks for the next draft. You can win and still package picks and move up in the draft or whatever. So
exactly.
20 million. That's a start. That's what it costs for a starting point guard. That's 25 years old in the NBA.
Right.
Exactly. I can seeing guys making crazy amount of money that probably shouldn't getting, you know, what they're getting, but you know, at that price, if you sit back and you let because draft day was crazy. Draft day was insane. I remember being on the Knicks show and you saw the chat room was just like, what are they doing? And even like when they took Ousmane Dieng, like I remember going pre-show and I'm like, if they take Ousmane Dieng, Knicks fans are gonna flip because he's French. And they're gonna give you Ntilikina vibes all over again. That's Phil Jackson. And like we just mentioned Phil Jackson before. You don't want to mention Phil Jackson. That's like he took Frank Ntilikina and just like, all right, we're just gonna take this dude because I think he could be Tony Parker. And it's like because he's French. It's like, whoa, he ain't nothing like Tony Parker. Like, come on now. What are you doing? Like, you didn't even scout or anything. And it's just like that was lazy and all that. So like and when they took him, I was like, oh, it's just bad. Chat room just went crazy, and then they wound up trading the pick and all that. And I also think if you have a guy you like, that they would have traded up. So I think they had a guy in mind, and he wasn't there. But it always feels like they're one pick away, right? It always feels like there's one pick away. And I said that on the show. I'm like, one pick away. I hope this is not another one pick away. You know, they make movies off this. They make YouTube videos off the Knicks being one pick away. Like they did a whole thing on the score with Steph Curry, and they mentioned like the Timberwolves like for like 2 seconds. I'm like, you know, the Timberwolves had two picks and they took 2 point guards back to back. We couldn't even take Steph Curry. Like, and like but that's New York. Like we couldn't even take Steph Curry. And we got clowned for like a 15-minute video. I'm like, the Wolves had back-to-back picks. Like if they took Rubio, they could have took Steph too. They took Johnny Flynn. How could do the video on them? Not how the Knicks are one pick away and how it messed up our franchise. I was like, whoa, we didn't even have a chance to draft him. Like it's crazy, but I just hope we're not one pick away again. Because I know Johnny Davis. I think Johnny Davis was their guy, and I think they could not. Washington was not willing to move, or they couldn't. It was too expensive to jump up to like. I think the Spurs had 9, so I think it was just. And I think once he was gone, they were like, all right, they punted out. They did that last year too. With I forgot who they wanted, but they punted after the 21st pick traded. So they didn't want their guy. They're like, all right, let's bank on next year because we know next year's draft is is loaded. So maybe they're just
That's
putting all
big.
their chips on next year, but that could backfire too. So we'll see what happens.
Right. See, Mitch Robinson, of course, just signed a second deal. Was the first Knicks since Chris Childs or Charlie Ward?
Since Charlie Ward. I remember I had Charlie Ward on the show. And I said, Charlie, do you know you're the last Knicks first round pick to get a second contract? Just think about that. That was what, 94? Right? 94. Think about that. Right. That's how bad they've been at retaining their pick. That's not good.
They're not necessarily drafting, just keeping the picks there and keeping the players at home.
Them because Porzingis was supposed to be the guy. Right. Porzingis was to be like, all right, he's ending it, everything. He's going to sign the max with us. He's going to be with us forever. He's our forever player. And we ruined that. Like both sides ruined it. His representation and our Phil Jackson again. Yeah. So a lot of things. So like that set us back. And there's a lot of things that set us back. But to me, like I know people like, the draft picks. I don't care about draft picks. But at the end of the day, most teams that we're seeing having success, it's because they drafted really well. I mean, look at the team that just won the championship. They drafted well, and they never had. Like they had, obviously Wiseman was a second pick, but like in the past, I mean, Steph was the 8th pick, Clay was 12th, Draymond was a second round, and they just hit on late pick. Like I always feel like yes, it's cool to have the number 1 pick and all that, but you could hit on the 12th pick, you could hit on wherever you are, just build that foundation, and that's what the Knicks have failed to do, just build that, and I think it's kind of hurt them because now they have to like go after like these little free Julius Randles and all that. But if you just now, but it seems like they got some good pieces they drafted of late. Some good young pieces. It feels like they drafted solid, but they need that. They need that hit. They need that. Boom. This guy's. Yeah, that's what they need.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that's RJ though. I know RJ last year finished averaging 20. Like you say, quickly played pretty good at the end of the year. Grimes, Jericho Sims, Mitch Robinson. You got to throw in there. I feel like the Knicks are trying to put it together, and like I say, they need that one piece. Do you think RJ can be that one piece? Like say last year, he ended finishing 20. He has a point guard who can control the offensive tempo for him and get him in his spots. Every game he's becoming more skilled offensively. Do you think, like his contract year, do you think this is the year RJ puts it all together and maybe he makes his first All-Star, maybe he makes the All-Star game, or he just shows that he's the player we can build around?
I got asked this on a podcast a few months ago. Like, all right, would you give the keys to RJ? And I said I would give them to him, but like very like timid. I'd be like, okay, this is you make sure you do the speed limit and all this and all that. Like I would give it to him, but like be very like I would have a GPS on him, like well, watch out. Like, and it's I feel like you have to give him the keys to see if he's because now you got to see if he's a max player. But
a max player, yep.
Because you're gonna give him a lot of money. So, but then it's like, I'm scared. I'm a little scared to do that because I don't know if he is that. I know he has it in him to do it, to be that dude. But does he have the skill set to take this team on his shoulders and be the franchise player? To be that max. And then it comes with different expectations. It comes with different expectations. So, because everyone loves him now. But do you love him when he's making $35 million a year and he's still giving you 19, 20 a game? Right. So to me, it's like, I give you the keys. I'm going to make sure that everything's right around you. But, I think you have to give him the keys a little bit. It's going to be hard because you still got Julius Randle on the team. You just gave Brunson the bag. So it's going to be hard to fully give him the keys. But he's going to have to show you that because the skill set did show a lot more last year. I think we saw more skill in his game. And that's the one thing I've been like, I haven't seen his skill develop yet. So he saw more skill, more tighter ball handling, better passing. Some things you saw at Duke that he was able to incorporate this year. So I'm hoping, I think he can do it. I think he has the attitude to want to do it. It's just a matter of, can he take that next to 23 point per game, be more efficient, get efficient at the rim too, because he doesn't have that wiggle around the room. He's not shifty, crafty like that around the rim. So finishing, improving as a free throw shooter, improving defensively, playmaking, all that. They do really have, but they have a big decision to make. Absolutely. A big decision to make whether they're gonna max him out, and because it could change the franchise, because if he takes that next step, now you just the vision of the team is more clear, because now you got Brunson, RJ. Okay, we got some pieces. Obi, if Obi takes a step, I think Grimes is a perfect fit with Jalen Brunson. I think if they I know they got Fournier still on the team, so if they eventually think about moving him, but I think Grimes, he just has that smoothness, with him on the outside, 3-and-D type of player. But I think he did a little bit more than be a 3-D. I think he could create a little bit, but I think he's a perfect fit with Brunson. I think Brunson, him and are going to do some good things together in that backcourt if you see them together quickly too. Right. So they got some pieces to work on, but it's gonna be a big year for RJ, because you're seeing Ja get the bag, you saw Zion get the bag, you're seeing other guys around you.
Yep.
That's motivation, and if there's a guy who's gonna could live up to it, because he has it, and he's had that chip on his shoulder since he got drafted. He's kind of been overlooked. He didn't make the rookie team and all that. Kind of been overlooked. Especially with Zion. Always taking the headlines, especially at Duke and all that. But big year for RJ. Year for RJ. Let me flip it to you guys.
Go ahead.
What do you need to see from RJ as an outside, not being a Knicks fan, looking on the outside? What do you need to see from RJ to feel like, all right, I'm James Dolan, I'm Worldwide West, I'm Leon, all right, RJ, giving you the max. What do you need to see for him to continue? Because the beginning of the season last year, he struggled. He was shooting. Remember there was a stretch he couldn't hit a 3.
Yeah.
And then he picked once the turn of the new year happened, he started hooping, and he was consistent 20 a game. Some 24 per months. He had some really good months, but overall he was 20 a game after the new year. What do you need to see for be like, all right, RJ, give you that max deal?
For one, this year, I think like putting the ball in his hands at the end of the year, because that's kind of how he always played. He became the number one player in high school because he, kind of dictated the offense. He got a big body. He can get kind of anywhere he wants. So it's taking the next step as a scorer, I think, this year. I think RJ has it in him to average 24 to 25 a game, and that puts him in all-star range. And if he averages 23 this year, I will give him that max, because I feel comfortable knowing he's going to take the next step.
No, yeah, I feel that, because I think he does have that type of scoring capabilities too, like at least 23 this year. I want to see what type of, not only just scoring, like offensively, playmaking. Like I want to see him create. I want to see him do some creating this year to help make everybody else's life easier. Maybe that helps Julius Randle become a little more efficient. They get Obi some more looks. But I want to see if he takes a next step defensively and leadership-wise. He has been. He's been to the playoffs once. Like I say, Jalen Brunson coming in, been to the playoffs before, and it's like, not only can you lead us on the court, but can you lead us as a team? Like, can you lead this team? And like you said about giving him keys, like I kind of feel like, is he going to be in that Andrew Wiggins Minnesota situation where he's played to this point? He's played better than Andrew Wiggins.
That's a good one. That's a good comparison. Yep.
Everybody said don't give Andrew Wiggins that money, but it's like he's here. He's averaged 20 a couple times, so it's like we got to give it to him. It's like I'm gonna be a little timid giving you this Ferrari because I know you.
And you know what?
I know you go float.
Exactly. You made up a great point. The Andrew Wiggins comp is because we look back and we're like, yo, Andrew Wiggins averaged 24 in a year. Like you forget, like he was doing work. Like he was, and even he just talked about it on the podcast with Andre Iguodala and Evan Turner. They got a podcast and they were talking. He's talking. He's like, yo, I was consistent 20 a year, every year. People forget that, but since he didn't have that demeanor, they weren't winning, right? Because it all comes down to winning. If you're not winning, it don't matter how much points, because people are like, you got, empty stats, right? They have talked about that with Devin Booker a lot, right? Empty stats. Bradley Beal, empty stats, right? Yeah. But you start winning, like now, look how they praise Wiggins. They're like, oh man, they might have to max him out, right. So it's like that's a good compare. But I think the difference with him and with RJ and Wing, I think just RJ has like he shows that intensity, right? Wiggins is I think not that Wiggins don't have, and I think that's a misconception.
No,
Wiggins like
he didn't.
A
show
lot
it
of
all.
people think he's soft and all. Like
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Like I don't. I think there's a lot more tougher guys in the league than we want to. Than a lot of people say, because I think everyone's so like, oh, they in the '90s, all like they're clotheslining people. Like, nah, a lot of that wasn't even basketball. Like so, yeah. So like he's tough. Like, and he played a lot of good basketball. So I think that's a good comp. Like I think we could see something like that where you don't think he's a number one, but he can, as a 2 or 3, he could do work. And I think that's what RJ ultimately is. But I do want to see him take over like that Randall role and be that guy.
Yeah, definitely. But I see we're gonna let you get out of here, so you gotta get back on dad duties. But we definitely appreciate you coming on here, kicking off the summer series with us. Like I tell people, this is my president. I don't care about that guy that fell off that bike. I don't care about that old man. No,
I mean, I fell off a scooter, so that's a long ago. So
I will fall off a scooter, so I'm not even mad at that. I'll fall off a scooter before I fall off a bike. But appreciate you having us on here. Appreciate you for giving us the opportunity to have this platform to do this and to have you on this show with us. Like I said, we're gonna try to do this some more. We got some more things cooking in the summer that we definitely gonna want you to be a part of. Like I said, you got the first episode of the summer series.
I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are about to have a bunch of dope guests, so I'm looking forward to that. And I definitely got to get you on to talk some Hawks and all that. And because things a little different down there, So we definitely got to get you on and talk about that. But like I said, like I said before in the beginning, to see the improvement that you guys have made, that. And I've said this about with Knicks fan Wilder with Juan and them, like to take what I said and some constructive criticism and just work with him, like okay, and put that in the lab and work and to come out and improve and to see you guys' growth. To me, that's dope. Like I said, I take a lot of pride in that. Like I take a lot of pride in helping people, help them out in the podcast world. Like that's what you got to do in this. Like it's not just about me. Like, yeah, I put work in my show. Like I put a lot of work, I put a lot of effort to grow. And it's helped, grow this. But I love helping other people, man. It's dope. It's dope seeing other people, networking with people that I've been able to, that I've been able to work with in the beginning. And like you guys have them on your show. Mo got them on their show, or Ken got, like, it's dope. It's dope. So like continue. Y'all gonna keep killing it. And we got big things in the works, we got big things going, and then we're gonna be international soon. So let's keep working. Let's keep growing. Like you think about it, we're about to hit 2 years on the network. It's approaching. Like, and you hear all these other like even like Barstool. I know people are not crazy about Barstool, but like if you just look at like the journey, like the dude didn't make any money till like 10 years in. So like there'll be times I'm like, damn man, like why can't? Then I'm like, I know some of the big networks didn't take off for years.
No, it's a process.
But if you got the infrastructure in, like we got the talent, and we've had a bunch of talent, come and go, but like and go on to bigger things. And to me, that's dope. Like when I see someone like taking another opportunity to go, do better, that's dope. And like we got some serious talent here, and it just like I said, we got shows on the radio. Like isn't that crazy? Y'all can listen to my show on the radio. Like you can go click the app and put on, like that's crazy. That's crazy to me. Like that's dope though. Like and I remember when I got approached to that, and they're like, who do you want? Who can we get on the radio? I was like, you got to get the Hoopers on. Like that's a must listen. You got to get them on. And they're like, yep. And they made it happen. I remember hitting you guys up like, your show gonna be on the radio. Like that was. And it was dope. So like, only more good things coming for you guys for the network. We got a lot of things cooking up. So like I said, continued success, keep killing it, and like thanks for having me on. I didn't realize that we haven't. I think the last time I was only on because kids. So
right.
I was on for like a minute, and then the daughter woke up. But this time I planned it a little better. Got her up. She just woke up now, but we were at the end anyway. So, but like I said, you guys are killing the game. You guys are really a must. I thoroughly enjoy your show. Like really enjoy. You guys know what you're talking about. It's entertaining and all that. And I can't wait till we do a whole. We get the crew together. We do a lot because that's gonna be.
Truly.
We're gonna get solo. We're gonna get solo Mo. Oh, we gotta get solo Mo. We gotta get Jeff. We gotta get the whole crew. We're gonna get my New York people up. It's gonna be a show. It's gonna be a movie. But like I said, I appreciate you guys for taking the chance to join the network because it was brand spanking new. You know, baby out the womb, like it was that brand new, and like to take a chance. And I appreciate a lot of people taking a chance on me, you know, and for joining me and believing in me. I appreciate that and mad respect, and y'all my guys.
Nah, yeah, appreciate you again, Prezi. Like I say, we appreciate you coming on here. Like I say, other than that, you got anything else you want to throw out there?
Now, just as always, first appreciate you for coming on the show. Shout out to the Off the Ball Network. You can find us anywhere podcasts are available: Apple, Google, Spotify, all those dope places. That's all I got.
All right. Once again, shout out President for Off the Ball Network, Chris Lebron. I'm John W.
It's fresh.
And this is the Hooper Summer Series Part 1.
Sir.